Hello everyone, and welcome to the channel, Police True Ghost Stories. As a former forensic officer, I'll be sharing both my own experiences and eerie, true stories I've heard from other police officers. Today, we focus on a particularly abnormal and terrifying incident. By sharing this story, I hope to offer insights on how to handle inexplicable events that differ from our reality, and how these events can influence our worldview. This episode aims to deepen our understanding of the unknown through the experiences of a police officer facing phenomena that science cannot explain. This channel is supported by my grandchildren, who help manage it by drawing on my past diaries to construct these stories. We make sure to keep specific individuals anonymous while preserving the integrity of the truth. Our story begins with an ordinary night shift for a police officer. But you will see how dramatically things change. If you enjoy the video, please don't forget to like and subscribe. Now, let's get started. The protagonist of this story is a seasoned police officer, working in a small town in America. He had spent many quiet nights before, but this night would be different. His shift began with a routine patrol of the quiet town. The streets were lit only by the lights of the town, with sparse human activity and no reports of significant incidents or accidents. Inside his patrol car, he focused on monitoring the radio and his surroundings. However, the quiet did not last. Midway through the night, he began to hear something unusual. The police car's radio intermittently picked up a woman's voice. It sounded distant, as if coming through fog, not forming clear words, but a pained cry for help, as if someone was in distress. He immediately checked the radio equipment, which appeared to be functioning normally. The voice continued sporadically, capturing his attention. To locate its source, he drove toward the direction from which the voice seemed to be emanating. Unbeknownst to him at the time, this decision would significantly alter his fate. Guided by the indistinct voice on the radio, the officer headed towards an old industrial area on the outskirts of the town. This area had once thrived, but was now largely abandoned and had become a place of ruins. In the silence of the night, only his patrol car's headlights cut through the darkness. Upon reaching the industrial area, the voice over the radio became clearer, turning into a desperate cry for help. It seemed to be emanating from a specific building. He parked his car and cautiously approached the building. As he entered the building, the air changed, and a cold breeze caressed his face. Inside was surprisingly cold, and a profound silence dominated. With a flashlight in hand, he began to explore the building slowly. Suddenly, he heard the sound of something falling from the upper floor. Following the sound, he ascended the stairs to find a door, ajar and swaying slightly. He pushed the door open, and in the center of the room, there was an old chair with a faint silhouette of a woman visible upon it. As he approached, his breath caught in his throat, and he found an old diary on the floor near the chair. Picking up the diary, he saw it was open to a specific date with the words, "I can't take it anymore. Someone please get me out of here," written on it. At that moment, he felt a chill run down his spine. But more astonishingly, the silhouette of the woman vanished, and the room's temperature dropped suddenly. He looked around and noticed a small window in the corner, where moonlight was streaming in, illuminating something. Approaching the window, he saw a clear shadow in the shape of a woman. As he reached out towards the shadow, it suddenly moved, gesturing as if shouting at him. However, no sound was heard, and only the heaviness of the air increased, pressing down around him. overwhelmed by this inexplicable phenomenon. He felt he was on the verge of a significant discovery. What impact this event would have on him, and whether the mystery of this mysterious voice would be unveiled, will be revealed in the next development. The temperature in the room continued to drop after the shadow moved, making the officer's breath visible like mist. He felt disoriented by this sudden change, but realized he had attracted the attention of something highly dangerous. The shadow darted around him, sometimes approaching, sometimes retreating, as if trying to keep him there. The officer tried to leave the room, but every time he moved towards the exit, an inexplicable force blocked his way. He felt that this force was trying to communicate something to him. So he picked up the diary again and reread the last page. The entries in the diary suggested increasingly desperate situations, hinting at tragic events that had occurred in that place. As he read on, he began to hear a faint voice in the room. The same woman's voice, repeatedly warning him, "Run away." He tried to follow this advice, but a strong pull from the center of the room seemed to draw him in. Resisting this pull, he began to investigate other areas of the room. He noticed that one part of the wall was unusually cold, and a strange light was seeping from it. Carefully examining the wall, he discovered a hidden door. Opening it, he found a small chamber with an old urn placed in the center. The urn emitted an intense cold, and the officer intuitively felt that it was somehow connected to the woman's spirit. He took the urn in his hands and opened the door again to leave the room, but at that moment, a rumbling noise filled the room along with a cold wind that enveloped him. This rumbling sounded like distant church bells, suggesting to him that something was ending and a new beginning was approaching. The officer managed to escape the chamber with the urn and ran outside. Once outside, the oppressive feeling vanished, and the night's stillness welcomed him. This event left a deep impression on the officer. But what he learned from this experience, and how he would move forward, would be revealed in the subsequent developments. After escaping the chamber and taking the urn outside, the officer took a deep breath of the night air. His mind and body were nearly at their limits, but stepping into the outside world brought a strange sense of calm. He returned to his patrol car, placed the urn in the passenger seat, and took a moment to breathe deeply before contacting headquarters via the radio. He reported the abnormal phenomena and the details of the location to headquarters. He also requested additional support to investigate the events of that night. Headquarters quickly dispatched additional personnel and experts familiar with spiritual phenomena, and he was instructed to stay at the scene and wait. When the experts arrived, they immediately began a detailed investigation of the urn and the chamber. The urn bore the name of a family once well known in the region, a family that had suffered many tragedies, according to records. The experts speculated that the urn might contain some form of spiritual energy affecting the surroundings. The officer and the experts spent the night together, performing various spiritual cleansing rituals. They handled the urn appropriately and offered prayers to guide the spirit to rest. This series of actions seemed to have a certain effect in calming the unusual phenomena, as they could feel a clear change in the atmosphere of the place. As dawn broke, all the rituals were completed, and the experts concluded that the spiritual cleansing of the place had been moderately successful. The officer deeply felt the impact of these events on his psyche, but understood the importance of learning from the experience. He vowed to never forget this experience, and to share it with other officers to help them handle unknown situations. This experience was a significant lesson for the officer, and he continued to apply the lessons learned that night in his career, especially when facing phenomena that could not be explained by science alone. Following this experience, the officer gained a new appreciation and respect for spiritual phenomena. He decided to share his experience in lectures and training programs at the police academy. His story became not just a lesson, but a vital source of information for young officers, potentially facing unknown situations in the field. The officer emphasized to his younger colleagues the importance of maintaining composure when facing inexplicable phenomena or unusual incidents, and the need to use both scientific methods and traditional knowledge whenever possible. His approach prompted a review and update of the department's response strategies, leading to a more effective exploration of handling methods. Furthermore, the officer also focused on strengthening relationships with the local community. He collaborated with local experts and spiritualists familiar with the region's history, increasingly using traditional knowledge in investigations of abnormal phenomena. These collaborative relationships proved to be very valuable in building new trusts between the community and the police, and in exploring solutions to common problems. This initiative was highly regarded in the community, allowing the officer to secure more resources to handle more abnormal cases with support from the locals. By respecting and incorporating local history and culture into police work, he gained broader support from many people. The officer's efforts influenced other police stations, contributing to the improvement of national protocols for dealing with spiritual phenomena and unknown threats. His experience highlighted the importance of combining scientific approaches with traditional methods, laying the foundation for further research and methodological development in this field. Through these events, the officer not only experienced personal growth, but also signed